Every breakthrough is first conceived in the invisible. Long before it appears as success, recognition, wealth, healing, or freedom, it exists as a clear idea held steadily in the mind. Life is not moved by chance, nor are great transformations accidents. There is a strategy behind every breakthrough, and that strategy begins with thought aligned to higher law. Nothing comes into manifestation without agreement between desire and belief. People often say they want change, yet their inner conversations deny it. They affirm limitation while hoping for abundance. They speak fear while longing for courage. They expect failure while praying for victory. The unseen realm responds not to wishes, but to conviction. When the mind is disciplined to expect good, the way is prepared for good to appear. The first strategy is clarity. A vague desire produces vague results. When the mind knows exactly what it seeks, it sends out a definite command. Clarity is not forcing, it is recognizing. One does not struggle to make a breakthrough. One recognizes that the supply already exists and calmly accepts it. The universe responds swiftly to clear instructions. The second strategy is alignment with law. There is an order to life, and when one moves with it instead of against it, resistance dissolves. Many people work hard yet remain blocked because their efforts are driven by fear, competition, or doubt. True power is effortless because it flows from harmony. When thought, word, and action agree, obstacles vanish without battle. Words are living forces. Every spoken sentence is either constructing or destroying. Those who master breakthrough speak as though the victory has already occurred. They do not rehearse problems, they rehearse outcomes. They do not magnify delay, they magnify faith. Speech charged with expectation opens doors no effort can unlock. Another strategy is obedience to intuition. Breakthroughs rarely come through logic alone. They come through sudden inner guidance, a quiet nudge, a persistent idea that refuses to leave. This guidance is precise and unfailing, but it must be trusted. When one follows intuition without fear, paths appear where none were visible. Release is also part of the strategy. Holding on to resentment, regret, or past failure blocks the flow of new good. Life cannot fill hands that are already clenched. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strategic freedom. When the mind releases what no longer serves, it creates space for what belongs. Faith is not passive waiting, it is active expectancy. To have faith is to act as though the unseen is already secured. This attitude shifts circumstances with astonishing speed. Doubt delays, but confidence accelerates. One who knows the law does not beg, they accept. Every breakthrough requires a moment of inner stillness. In silence, confusion dissolves and direction becomes clear. Stillness is not inactivity, it is alignment. When the mind is quiet, it becomes receptive to solutions that effort could never produce. Timing is governed by readiness, not desire alone. When preparation meets belief, manifestation is immediate. Delays are often signals to refine thought, language, or trust. Nothing is withheld, it is only rearranged until alignment is complete. The greatest strategy of all is knowing that nothing real can be lost. When fear of loss disappears, courage takes its place. One who is unafraid to move forward cannot be stopped. Breakthrough is not a rare event reserved for a few, it is the natural outcome of right thinking consistently applied. When thought is disciplined, words are purposeful, intuition is trusted, and faith is unwavering, life rearranges itself with precision. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. This is the strategy behind every breakthrough: alignment with truth, expectation of good, and absolute confidence in unseen support. Clarity of thought and expectation is the unseen command behind every visible result. What the mind consistently holds, life faithfully reflects. A clear mind is not one free from challenges, but one that refuses to be confused by them. When a person knows what they desire and why they desire it, the universe receives a precise instruction. Confusion delays, but clarity accelerates. Many people wonder why effort does not produce results, yet they shift their desires daily, speak contradictions, and imagine multiple outcomes at once. Life responds to certainty, not to emotional fluctuation. Clarity begins with understanding that desire is not accidental. Every true desire is a seed of fulfillment already planted in consciousness. It is not given to torment the individual, but to lead them to expression. When someone wants a breakthrough, it is because the capacity for that breakthrough already exists within them. The mistake is not in wanting too much, but in expecting too little. Expectation is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Expectation is not hope mixed with anxiety, it is calm knowing. A person who truly expects does not rush, complain, or constantly seek reassurance. They move forward with quiet confidence, even when outer conditions seem unchanged. The mind trained in expectation does not ask, "Will it happen?" but affirms, "It is happening in perfect order." This mental posture rearranges circumstances without strain. Clarity of thought requires discipline. The mind must be guarded like a sacred space. Every fearful idea, every limiting belief, every old story must be examined and replaced. One cannot expect expansion while rehearsing limitation internally. Inner conversations are more powerful than outer actions. A person may speak positivity publicly, yet privately argue for failure. Life listens to the private voice. To be clear is to decide. Indecision weakens energy. When the mind hesitates, the universe hesitates. Decision sends a signal of readiness. Once a decision is made, the individual must refuse to entertain opposite outcomes. This does not mean denying reality, it means choosing authority over it. The outer world is a mirror, not a master. Expectation must be consistent. A single moment of faith followed by hours of doubt cancels momentum. Consistency trains the subconscious to accept success as normal. When success feels natural, it arrives naturally. What feels foreign takes time to adjust. Many breakthroughs are delayed not because they are difficult, but because the mind is unfamiliar with receiving them. Clarity also involves detachment from method. When the mind dictates how something must occur, it limits the intelligence working on its behalf. True clarity focuses on outcome, not process. It states the desire and releases control, trusting that the unseen knows more routes than logic ever could. Insistence on one path creates resistance. Openness invites surprise. Expectation is strengthened by language. Words are the tools of clarity. Saying "I hope" weakens intention, saying "I accept" strengthens it. Language shapes belief, and belief shapes experience. One must speak from fulfillment, not from longing. Longing assumes absence, fulfillment assumes presence. The subconscious does not analyze. It obeys. Clarity does not mean absence of fear, but dominance over it. Fear may appear, but it is not given authority. The clear mind observes fear without submitting to it. Fear loses power when it is not obeyed. Expectation remains steady even when emotions fluctuate. Faith is not emotional excitement, it is mental loyalty to truth. When clarity is established, opportunities appear. People call it luck, timing, or coincidence, but it is alignment. The mind that knows what it wants recognizes doors instantly. The confused mind walks past them. Clarity sharpens perception. What was once invisible becomes obvious. Expectation also prepares the individual internally. It shifts identity. A person who expects success begins to think, act, and choose differently. They tolerate less, procrastinate less, and align naturally with growth. Breakthrough is not just an event. It is an internal reorganization. Expectation reorganizes behavior without force. Many people unknowingly sabotage clarity by revisiting past failures. The past has no creative power unless it is invited into the present. The clear mind understands that history does not dictate destiny. Only current belief does. Letting go of old narratives is essential. A breakthrough cannot fit into an identity built on limitation. Clarity must be renewed daily. It is not a one-time decision but a continuous alignment. Each day offers the choice to affirm truth or repeat habit. Habit resists change, but persistence overrides habit. The mind eventually accepts what it hears repeatedly. Speak victory often enough, and it becomes familiar. Expectation is not impatience. Impatience assumes delay. Expectation assumes order. One trusts timing without questioning outcome. When the mind stops watching the clock, manifestation speeds up. Anxiety slows everything. Calm anticipation creates flow. A clear expectation attracts support. People, ideas, and resources move into place effortlessly. Struggle dissolves because the individual is no longer fighting life but cooperating with it. Resistance fades when the mind stops arguing with possibility. Clarity also means knowing what one will no longer accept. Boundaries sharpen intention. When the mind tolerates confusion, chaos continues. When it demands harmony, harmony appears. Life responds to standards as much as desires. The greatest breakthroughs often arrive suddenly, but they are never sudden internally. They are the result of sustained clarity and expectation. The moment outer reality shifts is simply the moment inner alignment becomes complete. The mind that is clear does not need signs. It does not chase proof. It moves forward because it knows. Knowing is silent, steady, and unmoved by appearances. This knowing is the strategy itself, shaping events long before they occur, arranging meetings before they happen, opening doors before they are touched, dissolving obstacles before they are seen. Alignment of words, faith, and intuition is the quiet force that removes effort from achievement. When these three move together, life flows without resistance. Most struggle is not caused by lack of ability, but by inner contradiction. People say one thing, believe another, and ignore the guidance meant to lead them forward. Breakthrough appears the moment this division ends. Words are the first point of alignment. Every word spoken carries instruction. Speech is not casual, it is directive. What is repeatedly declared becomes accepted as truth by the inner mind. When words contradict desire, the mind becomes confused and results become delayed. Saying one wants abundance while speaking constantly of lack creates conflict. The subconscious responds to the strongest and most frequent message, not the conscious wish. Words must be chosen as. One chooses tools. Carelessly chosen words build carelessly shaped lives. Statements of fear, doubt, or resentment program the mind to expect obstacles. Statements of faith program it to expect solutions. The outer world faithfully mirrors these expectations. When language shifts, experience follows. Faith gives words their power. Words spoken without belief are empty sounds. Faith is not blind belief, it is inner agreement. When a person speaks with faith, the mind accepts the statement as reality, even before evidence appears. This acceptance activates unseen forces that rearrange circumstances. Faith is the conviction that life supports alignment, not struggle. Many misunderstand faith as waiting. True faith moves. It takes inspired action without panic. It follows direction without demanding explanation. Faith trusts that guidance will appear when needed, not all at once. This trust dissolves fear, and fear is the greatest blocker of intuition. Intuition is the voice of alignment. It speaks quietly and precisely. It does not argue or justify. It simply indicates direction. People often miss it because they expect it to be dramatic or loud. Intuition is calm certainty. It may not make logical sense, but it always leads to order. When intuition is ignored, effort increases. When it is followed, ease appears. Many people work against their own guidance and wonder why progress feels heavy. Intuition knows timing, placement, and connection. It leads to the right people and the right opportunities without force. Alignment requires listening. One cannot hear guidance while constantly reacting. Stillness creates receptivity. In moments of quiet, direction becomes clear. The mind that is constantly occupied with worry cannot receive instruction. Silence is not emptiness, it is readiness. Faith strengthens intuition. When guidance is followed and results confirm it, trust grows. This trust creates momentum. Each aligned action sharpens clarity. Doubt dulls perception, but faith refines it. The more one acts on inner knowing, the clearer that knowing becomes. Words, faith, and intuition must agree. Speaking faith while doubting internally weakens alignment. Trusting intuition while speaking fear creates resistance. Alignment is coherence. When the inner and outer messages match, power flows. Many people sabotage alignment by seeking approval. They silence intuition to please others, then wonder why fulfillment fades. Alignment requires loyalty to inner truth. Approval is temporary, alignment is sustaining. When one honors inner guidance, life responds with confirmation. There is also timing in alignment. Intuition often instructs patience, not action. Faith accepts stillness without anxiety. Words support this patience instead of criticizing it. Saying nothing is happening cancels alignment. Saying everything is arranging perfectly sustains it. Alignment dissolves struggle because it removes force. Force is resistance disguised as effort. Alignment is cooperation. Life moves more quickly when it is not pushed. One aligned step replaces many frantic ones. Fear disrupts alignment by distorting perception. It causes the mind to misinterpret signals. Fear makes intuition seem risky and faith seem unrealistic. When fear is questioned instead of obeyed, clarity returns. Fear cannot survive examination. Words spoken in alignment become commands. They do not beg or demand, they declare. Declaration assumes authority. Authority comes from inner agreement, not volume. Quiet certainty is more powerful than loud repetition. Intuition often leads away from familiar paths. Faith accepts this without panic. The mind accustomed to struggle may distrust ease, yet ease is a sign of alignment, not laziness. What is truly meant flows. When alignment is present, resistance fades from the environment. Conversations change. Opportunities appear. Delays dissolve. People respond differently. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of internal order. One aligned decision can replace years of effort. Alignment condenses time. It removes unnecessary steps. It reveals shortcuts that logic could not design. What once required struggle now requires agreement. Alignment also brings peace before results appear. This peace is confirmation. It is the inner signal that direction is correct. Anxiety disappears not because circumstances have changed, but because inner conflict has ended. Words spoken in peace carry greater authority. Faith held in calm is unshakable. Intuition followed without fear becomes precise. Together, they form the pathway of least resistance, moving the individual toward outcomes that feel inevitable rather than forced. When alignment becomes a habit, life becomes cooperative. The individual no longer feels alone in decision-making. Guidance is constant. Support is expected. Success feels natural rather than surprising. The greatest breakthroughs are preceded by alignment, not effort. Effort may still exist, but it is inspired rather than strained. Action becomes clear, not scattered. Energy is conserved rather than wasted. Alignment does not remove challenges, but it removes confusion about them. Challenges become instructions instead of obstacles. Each one clarifies direction further. When words bless rather than curse, when faith replaces fear, and when intuition is trusted over habit, the individual steps into a rhythm where progress unfolds smoothly. Solutions appear at the right moment, and life feels guided rather than resisted. Release, trust, and right timing form the final movement of every true transformation. Many people understand desire and effort, yet few understand surrender. Breakthrough does not come from holding tightly, but from knowing when to let go. The mind that clings delays, while the mind that releases allows life to complete its work. Release begins with understanding that control is not power. Control is fear attempting to manage outcomes. True power lies in alignment and allowance. When a person releases anxiety about results, they remove resistance. Resistance is what slows manifestation, not lack of ability or opportunity. Holding on to past disappointment anchors the mind in repetition. What is remembered with emotion is recreated. Release is not forgetting events, but withdrawing energy from them. When emotional charge is removed, a past loses influence. The future then has space to form. Trust is the natural companion to release. One cannot let go without believing in support. Trust is not belief that everything will be easy, but belief that everything will be purposeful. When trust replaces fear, the nervous system relaxes, perception sharpens, and intuition becomes clearer. Many people try to trust while still preparing for disappointment. This divided state weakens momentum. Trust must be clean, it must be free of mental escape plans. When the mind constantly plans for failure, it secretly expects it. Expectation shapes outcome. Right timing is rarely recognized by impatience. The mind that rushes misinterprets delays as denial. Yet delay often indicates preparation. Timing is governed by readiness, not urgency. What arrives too early cannot be sustained. Release requires giving up the demand for immediate proof. The unseen works in silence. Seeds do not announce growth. When the mind stops digging to check progress, growth accelerates. Doubt disrupts rhythm. Trust maintains it. Trust also means accepting redirection. Sometimes what is released is not the desire but the form imagined for it. Life M. I deliver fulfillment through a different door. Resistance to alternate paths delays satisfaction. Many breakthroughs require the collapse of old structures. What feels like loss is often rearrangement. Trust allows one to move through uncertainty without panic. Panic interrupts timing, calm preserves it. Right timing aligns circumstances, people, and readiness simultaneously. Forcing action before alignment creates struggle. Waiting without trust creates stagnation. Balance is required. One must be available without anxiety. Release also includes releasing self-judgment. Harsh inner criticism weakens confidence and delays growth. Compassion restores flow. When the mind stops attacking itself, energy becomes available for creation. Trust grows through observation. When one reflects on past moments where things resolved without force, confidence deepens. Life has always been supporting, even when misunderstood. Recognition of this pattern strengthens faith. Timing cannot be rushed, but it can be respected. Acting too soon creates resistance. Acting too late creates regret. Intuition guides timing, but only when fear is quiet. Release quiets fear. Letting go does not mean inaction, it means inspired action without attachment. One does what feels correct and releases obsession with outcome. Obsession signals doubt. Certainty is relaxed. Many people delay their own breakthroughs by repeatedly revisiting what-if scenarios. These mental rehearsals exhaust energy and confuse direction. Trust replaces speculation with peace. Right timing often feels anticlimactic. When alignment is complete, action feels obvious rather than dramatic. The mind expects fireworks, but life prefers simplicity. Ease is often mistaken for insignificance. Release allows life to surprise. Control demands predictability. Trust allows possibility. Possibility contains solutions the mind coup. LD not design. When one releases the need to struggle, struggle ends. When one releases the identity built around effort, results appear more quickly. Hardness is not a requirement for worthiness. Trust also requires patience with self. Growth unfolds in layers. Each layer prepares the next. Impatience disrupts integration. Timing ensures stability. Release includes forgiving the process itself. Life does not move in straight lines. Detours are adjustments, not mistakes. Trust interprets detours correctly. Breakthrough often arrives when attention shifts away from waiting. When the mind becomes engaged in the present moment, resistance dissolves. Fulfillment approaches quietly. Right timing brings a sense of inevitability. When something is ready, obstacles disappear without explanation. What once required persuasion now requires presence. Trust is strengthened by stillness. In stillness, anxiety dissolves and clarity emerges. The nervous system resets. Timing becomes visible. Release also means releasing comparison. Comparing timelines creates dissatisfaction and impatience. Each path unfolds according to its own design. Trust honors individuality. The mind that trusts does not interpret delay as failure. It understands that nothing is wasted. Every experience contributes to readiness. When release is complete, effort becomes joyful. Action feels natural rather than forced. This shift signals alignment. Right timing reveals itself through ease, confirmation, and inner calm. When action aligns with timing, there is no resistance from within. Breakthrough is not something that must be chased. It is something that arrives when resistance is gone. Release removes resistance. Trust maintains openness. Timing completes the pattern. When the mind stops interfering, life demonstrates intelligence. Outcomes exceed expectation. Paths appear without strain. What is truly meant cannot miss its moment. Trust allows that moment to arrive intact. Release ensures nothing stands in its way.